Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo and I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado, and this is your winter 2024-2025 seasonal climate summary. It is that time of the year, folks. It's time for a new seasonal summary. So meteorological winter runs from the 1st of December through February 28th, most years, leap years, February 29th. And we will just be having a little rundown of the stories of the month for each of those 3 months, and we'll go over temperatures, precipitation, drought outlooks, seasonal outlooks, that sort of thing. If you watch the monthly climate videos, this is very similar, just looking at a broader time scale. So story of the month for the month of December, we had our snowpack snapshot. The winter started off really good. We were above normal for the most part for the first month and a half, and kind of hugging that normal line as we moved through. We had a few of atmospheric river-fueled storms that helped. We had our big Thanksgiving storm, although that was technically not in meteorological winter. Doesn't matter, snowpack is snowpack. We were doing better than this time last year, as you can see by the second brown trace here. We were not doing so hot this time last year, but unfortunately we're not doing so hot now. But hopefully we can change that. And we did see a colder and snowier January, and we definitely started to see the storm track ramp up as we moved into February. But as you'll see, we are also kind of going up against these periods of unusually warm weather and dry weather that are kind of going up against those cooler, wetter periods, and we just gotta hope that the balance falls towards the wetter periods. January's story of the month was the Arctic air outbreak. It got really cold. It was in no way record setting. We can get really cold here in western Colorado, especially some of our higher elevation valleys. When they get snowpacked, they start to develop what's known as a cold pool. If you're someone who lives in Gunnison or in the upper Yampa, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where once you have snowpack and clear skies and calm winds, the bottom just drops out on the temperatures. So we can definitely see cold temperatures, but this was kind of an everywhere all at once type of event. These were actually the coldest temperatures of the season officially now, and they occurred in the middle of January as a burst of Arctic cold air plunged southward into the U.S. from Canada. And during this period, most locations saw below zero morning temperatures and afternoon highs running close to 20 degrees below normal. Wind chills were particularly brutal. You can see that here in the graphic, where the ambient air temperatures are listed here. So like Grand Junction was forecast to have an ambient low of 1 degree, but with wind was looking at a low of -10, or it feels like -10. Gunnison, which was already pretty freaking cold at -38, with what little wind there was going to feel like -47. So some of these spots got to and even got past -50, Craig being one of them with a wind chill forecasted of -58. And just as a fun fact for everybody out there, the temperature at which Celsius and Fahrenheit degrees are the same is -40. So we've got lots of readings that are below that temperature, which is just mind-boggling. We actually issued our first cold weather highlights, particularly for our mountains and higher elevation valleys. This year we switched to a new set of products that were just, instead of like having freeze warnings, cold wind chill warnings, etc., we just have extreme cold warnings and cold weather advisories. So we actually got to issue our first round of that this year, which was definitely an experience for us, as well as I'm sure for you guys. And then, of course, moving into February, our story of the month was record heat, because that's just how this winter has been going. So the first week of February, and only 2 weeks after that period of unusually cold temperatures, we saw a week of record highs. We saw, March, April weather at the beginning of February. May, if you're someone who's from upstate New York like me. We actually saw, starting on the 2nd, our first record high here in Grand Junction of 60 degrees, which beat the previous record of 59 degrees, which was set in 2003. It's 1 degree. It's something of note. It's not that excessive. The next day was. The next day, on February 3rd, our high temperature here at the Grand Junction Regional Airport was 71 degrees, which was not only a record high for the day, but the record high for the whole month. And it was 12 degrees above the former record, which was 59, and that was set in 1934. So this was definitely a period of absolutely unusual warmth, but it felt really good, especially on the heels of that cold air outbreak in January. Most of the rest of our records were not as egregious as that 71. Typically they were, 1 to 3 degrees above the former record. But I mean, it's definitely interesting to see that swing from really cold to really warm, and then after this we actually started moving into a more stormy pattern. Our temperatures kind of started to level out near normal, but it sure felt good. I kind of miss it. Looking at our high temperatures, all of these occurred during that February warm spell. Our highest high, as I mentioned, was the 71 degrees in Grand Junction on the 3rd, followed closely by 70 degrees in Canyonlands on the 4th, and our coolest high for the month was 54 degrees, and that occurred in Craig on the 3rd, 4th, and that's supposed to say 6th. I apologize. Looking at our cold temperatures, unsurprisingly, all of these happened around January 21st when we had that cold air outbreak. So our lowest low for the season was 5 degrees, which occurred in Grand Junction on the 21st and the 22nd. This is the only low temperature that wasn't below 0 during this period. Craig had the record for lowest low during this season with a negative 25 on the 20th. Moving into precipitation, we did not do so hot, at least as far as our climate sites are concerned. The mountains are a little bit of a different story. They've been doing a little bit better, especially our northern tier of mountains. If you want to hear more about that, go see any of the last 3 monthly climate videos where I talk about what a La Nina means for our snowpack and that sort of thing. But as far as our 10 climate sites are concerned, our big winner here was Aspen with just under 1.8 inches for a seasonal total, which was about an inch below normal. And at the bottom here, we have poor Vernal with 0.13 as a seasonal total, most of which came in February. And this is just under 1.6 inches below normal. And our greatest departure for the season was Durango, where their seasonal total of 1.24 inches of precipitation was over 2 inches below normal. So for our lower elevation sites, at least, definitely not the best winter season we've seen. Looking into our seasonal drought outlook, I'm sure you saw this coming with the warmer temperatures and the underwhelming precipitation. We are looking at areas that already have drought, seeing drought persisting, and areas that are currently drought-free or abnormally dry, looking at drought actually developing. But if you compare this to the monthly outlook, which is in the monthly video, which will be co-posted with this one, you'll see that trend is not showing up in the 1 month outlook, which means that this is expected to happen just over a longer term, which makes sense when you see the seasonal temperature and precipitation outlooks. So for the whole spring season, so March, April, and May, we are looking at a pretty good signal for above normal temperatures. It's not insane. We are looking at like 33 to 40% lean towards above normal precipitation or above normal temperatures for the northern tier of eastern Utah and western Colorado, with just a sliver of equal chances of above or below normal temperatures, with a stronger lean, so 40 to 50% chance of above normal temperatures for the southern half of the area. But there's a pretty good signal, above 50% chances of seeing below normal precipitation, especially for this southern half of the area, with a slightly less strong tendency for the northern half of the area. This is 40 to 50% tendency towards below normal precipitation. So seeing that the Climate Prediction Center is sort of strongly favoring us to see below normal precipitation, and at least leaning towards us seeing above normal temperatures, that drought tendency outlook makes some level of sense. And it's not the news we all want to hear, believe me, but that's where it stands as of right now. A lot can change in a couple of months, so hopefully this will be wrong and we'll see lots of snow and a good snowpack and a wet spring. But La Niñas also tend to typically favor drier and warmer patterns, so this is in line with what we've been seeing so far this winter. And that's that for the seasonal update. If you want to go check out the monthly video, please do. I'll give you a whole rundown on the month of February. If you want a written summary of both the seasonal and the monthly climate, there are links to those in the descriptions. Those go into a little bit more depth on things like the drought outlook, and you can see how many records were set, that sort of thing. So if that interests you, go ahead and click that link. I will see you next month with the monthly video, and I'll see you in 3 months with the spring summary, and I'm really hoping it'll be good news. But we'll see. So have a good one, everybody.